Have you ever wondered what it really takes to make Agile work? Well, at the Global Agile Summit, we're bringing you real-life, first-person stories of Agile succeeding out there in the real world that will inspire you to take action. Whether you're a leader, a product innovator, a developer, you'll hear practical insights from those who've done it. They'll be telling their own stories from the stage. I'll tell you more about this at the end of this episode, so stay back and listen to the full detailed description of what we have in store for you at the Global Agile Summit. But if you can't wait, you can go right now to globalagilesummit.com and check out our full schedule. For now, on to the episode, but I'll see you at the end of this episode with more details on the Global Agile Summit. Talk to you soon. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Team Tuesday. This week we have with us Anuj Ojha. Hey, Anuj, welcome back.
Hello, Vasco. Thank you for having me.
So, Anuj, yesterday we talked about your personal journey as a Scrum Master. And of course, today we talk about a team's journey. But before we dive into that, do share with us, what was the book that most inspired you in your career as a Scrum Master?
Oh, there's so many books, Vasco, I have read. And the name of the book that I'll tell you is actually not just about Agile or Scrum. They do not indicate about that. But it's The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team by Patrick Lencioni. I assume you might have got a chance to read it yourself. Yes. This book is a game changer. It focuses onto the 5 dysfunctions that team is facing, and it came at a time when I was really struggling. Okay, and that's where I figured out that how can I apply knowledge, which is not context to the Agile or Scrum directly, but it is in context to any team across anywhere. Okay, so when we talk about this book, Lencioni has presented a 5-level model that explains possible issues a team might face and how these issues impact each other, and if it could cause a kind of a domino effect. Let's say, what are these 5 dysfunctions? The first and foremost is about absence of trust, which is about building the strong foundation for your team to trust each other. The second dysfunction he mentioned is about the fear of conflict. We need to create a healthy work environment so that the conflict is encouraged. Then talks about the lack of commitment, which is about we should focus on building those commitment within the team. And there are obstacles which comes into making those commitment, and how can you overcome those obstacles by not focusing on just making a decision and not letting your team fear about making a decision, but helping each other to know that everybody's ideas matter. We can also do some exercises like cascading messages for that. And then comes this avoidance of the accountability, where we feel that to enhance accountability, it's important that team members should have this openness to discuss about the problem, not just for the performance, but about each other's behavior as well. It's about taking the fear of talking about personal relationships. It's important. It's about building the respect for each other and creating a belief which can help. And last but not the least, it's about the inattention to research, where we feel that many times because of status and ego, we lose our eye onto the most important aspect because of which this project team has been categorized or allowed to come together. It's about creating results, building a kind of environment which can sustain. So that's where he talked about that. And that's where I felt that reading this book and applying this knowledge to our context has helped me a lot.
Absolutely. Great book, by the way. Often referred to here on the podcast. That's how important it is. It has inspired many people out there. So everybody be sure to check that out, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team by Patrick Lencioni. A great introduction, Anuj, for those of you who didn't know the book. Quite an old book already, but still valuable because it, of course, as you said, talks about the teams, and teams are the same no matter whether they are in place today or, 20 years ago or whatever it was when the book got written. And teams are the focus of our next conversation, Anuj, of course, because on Team Tuesday, we discussed the maybe self-destroying path that a team chooses to follow despite their best intentions. So Anuj, tell us the story of a team. Walk us through that process, like from the beginning to the end. What were those little things that came up in that team that eventually led to problems?
This is a recent example I want to talk about. One of the customer that me and my teammates are consulting. Um, what happened there when we started this engagement? We did a as-is analysis. You may call this as a health assessment to identify who they are, what they are doing, what is inspiring them, what doesn't inspire them, and of course, overall to find out certain insights which can help the team to improve, not just to them, but also to the leadership team so that they can also provide certain support. We figured out that I first realization for me was I'm old. Why I felt so? Because they believe in async conversation and it works for them. Quite bunch of smart kids. Of course, we believe that we should bring people together in the same meeting, let them talk about it. But in their case, they feel that staying connected matters more over coming to the daily scrum every day. So one bottleneck which we realized among the team where they were forced to come to the daily scrum. They were forced to update their tickets where it could have been automated in a way. Okay. So one thing we found out with the team was they were unhappy with the too many meetings. And actually there were too many meetings. So what we did, we took the plug out and then we put the plug in again. We asked the team that, okay, at the start of the sprint, we do have the goals that we need to achieve. Tell me what all meetings you find it as useless, and we can take off those meetings and we will experiment for a couple of sprints. How does it go? For them, the first meeting that they wanted to hit was sprint review meeting. They felt that, Anuj, the nature of our product is in such a way that we do not go to the customer or we do not share our outcome to the customer at the end of every iteration. That is the kind of arrangement which they have with their customers. The customers do not want to be available. While you can talk and do anything with the customer and bridge that gap, but in that context, it wasn't necessary. So they felt that we want to have a demand-driven review, demand-driven demo, instead of just having a demo for the sake of demo. Then they talked about retrospective as well, where they figured out that we do all these things about what went well, what didn't go well, and Anuj, we are repeating the same thing all the time. What should we do? And that's when we figured out that this is not going to work like that. Let's focus on one problem to solve at a time. May take any time it could be, and let people have forum where they can post about their problem, not just in the retrospective, throughout the journey, which will work for them. And then they were okay. They were very happy with the daily scrum. They wanted to continue it, but they want to make sure that it should be an hour meeting because in their environment, it was happening more that it was a meeting for the manager for them to speak. So we took the manager out of the chemistry, okay? And then we focused on how my team can group themselves together and are they having a good conversation? You won't believe, Vasco, where the dynamics a little bit changed. We took out some people who were not important. Even the Scrum Master as a role, when that person wasn't there, the people were talking more. The meeting lasted for 20, 25 minutes as well, because that was when they figured out it's daily regrouping, replanning. So the challenge that we have faced is it's time for us to know that the generation is changed, the mindset is changed, what they like, what they don't like is also different. We need to first listen to them, understand them, and trust their intelligence. Possibly they may adhere to every value which Scrum can provide, but in a different way, not wanting to bound themselves into the ceremonies and listicle aspects what we have today. One more thing I would like to add is quality is paramount. Okay. They are also concerned. It's like the reputation at stake if you write a code and it's found too buggy. When we realize that team has got certain space from those too many meetings, okay, they have spent more time onto quality. And the DORA metrics also started showing better results, which earlier before was very stale for us. Oscar.
Yeah. So, first of all, the too many meetings problem is something that I'm sure many of us have heard. I found it very interesting how you went about solving it. Like, for example, when you talked about the retrospective, you say, okay, yeah, let's drop it, but let's make sure we focus on one thing to improve at a time. And I'm considering, okay, that sounds reasonable, also because improvements happen one at a time. They don't happen all at the same time, of course. But how did you find those improvements? Like what did you build into the conversation with the team that would raise up and qualify the improvements that were important for the team at the time?
Absolutely. Thank you, Vasco, for asking that. It's very important for us to create a forum where we may see the backlog of improvements along with the backlog of work. So, backlog of improvements, imagine that the product backlog is the list of items that we want to finish in the order of priority. It is not a list of user stories. It is not just a list of tasks. It is a list of things that we need to finish to achieve the desired goal. Let's say the list of things or items that you want to finish also include concerns that we as a team facing. So what we did, we asked them, why not we add it as a ticket in our Jira or ADO? Okay. And now when we are meeting again to talk about what we have achieved against what we have planned, we will have a look at that improvement ticket. Also, we want to do it. So we already have a space. We always have a space to add, keep on adding the improvements. We can have owner, people can vote for that improvements. That is this something that we need to look up at? And based on the voting, it starts ranking at the top. Okay. And trust me, people love it. And when you integrate it with Slack and every other tool that we have, it makes it easy for people to share what they believe in. So in that approach, I started adding the improvement tickets into the project management tool that we are using. And over the ticket, people started talking about, we started collaborating, even in the daily scrum. Now we don't have to wait for the retrospective meeting to happen. Even in the daily scrum, since it's a ticket which is visible, we want to talk about all what we have planned for. We also talk about what are we doing for improving what we are struggling with. So that's how Vasco, it worked for us.
Another aspect that is really interesting for me is the dropping of the sprint review. Now, I totally understand that sometimes customers are not interested in what we are producing every week or even every 2 weeks, right? Depending on how long the sprint is. And that's fair, right? But in Scrum, there's also the perspective that the team and the product owner themselves demo to each other. Now, you mentioned, let's do on-demand demos. So
Yep.
I'm interested to hear, like, how did that work in practice? Like, were the demos really happening? Who was asking for the demos? Because, of course, it wasn't the customers, presumably, from what you described. The customers would want a release every month or every 2 months, whatever, and that would be fine. But of course, quality is not supported by releasing 1 month or every month or every 2 months, right? Quality is supported by checking things as they are developed. So how did that dynamic work in that team?
Definitely a very fantastic question. First and foremost, we need to understand that we need to call a few keywords here. One is like a forecast, instead of calling it as a commitment. Okay. Then comes the second point is a checkpoint. Okay. We need to understand there is a checkpoint for everything. And then comes another element where we need to know what is important for an individual to vet on the work which they are working on, and as a group, what we want to know. Okay. Because it might happen certain information, the other members of the team may not be interested into. It may be too much of detail for them, and it might create unnecessary fatigue in their thought process. Okay. So what we did here is we first of all made sure a product owner should be intelligent enough to identify the incremental outcomes along with the team, partnering with the team, not just alone. When that incremental outcome for us is forecasted, even to the customer, so that while they may be saying in 2 months we want to have the result, they should know that when, what capability we have built. And in case they would be interested in knowing how it works, we will of course go and present them. First thing is providing information so that they can choose to come whenever they want to see what we have built. Number one. Number two, for us, it's important that when the incremental outcome checkpoints are identified, okay, it might happen within 10 days of time, we may achieve 2 or 3 of them. Or it might happen within 20 days or a month, we may not be able to achieve, depends on how mammoth that nature of the work is. And we do not want to do half cooked only. We want to seek feedback, but feedback also at a logical point. It should not be just a routine. It should be a necessity. It should be where really someone can improve upon it, or with that information, somebody can make a decision, an informed decision. So based on that, we have identified certain checkpoints. Okay, and trust me, it might sound that we are not doing reviews, so we don't have. I'm saying it's for that team only. There are of course a lot of teams that we consult to, but in that context of the team, which is very interesting, they figured out that when we identify the checkpoint, sometimes it is not just for the product owner; it is also for the dependent team. It is also for the SMEs to consult from them. It is also for the architects who can help us into deciding that do we need to make a change at the platform level itself. Okay. And then they identify certain spike which they want to go through so that some answers which they are looking for has been identified. So first thing, forecasting to the customer with confidence. It's very important. We cannot say maybe or we might be. No, with confidence. This is how we want to achieve this product. Okay. Second comes the point is checkpoints with all the people from whom we can know, we can learn we are on the right path or not. Okay. That was the second aspect that we helped into, I will say, staying agile, but not confining ourselves into the boundaries because it worked for everyone. Okay, and that's where Vasco.
Yeah, absolutely. Great story also on learning to listen to the people involved. Hey, friend, thank you for staying in the right direction without telling them what about the Global Agile Summit to make. Great story. Thank you for sharing that. If you've ever suffered or know people who are suffering from Agile fatigue, this event is for you. Agile fatigue is that feeling that settles in when we can't really see a light at the end of the tunnel. We get discouraged, especially when conversations revolve around the same old frameworks, the same old buzzwords and theories. We don't feel that energy anymore. Well, the Global Agile Summit is a different kind of event. We're bringing you real-life first-person stories of Agile succeeding out there in the real world that will inspire you to take action and transform the way you work. The Global Agile Summit will happen in Tallinn, Estonia, May 18th, that's the workshop day, and then 19th and 20th, the conference day. And Tallinn, Estonia is one of the most innovative tech hubs in Europe. The Global Agile Summit is hosted together with Latitude 59, which is kind of a citywide celebration of software startups and groundbreaking ideas. And we'll have a shared ticket for you to attend those events as well. So who will be speaking? Well, we've got an incredible lineup of thought leaders in software and Agile. For example, Clinton Keith, the person who literally wrote the book on game development with Scrum and is busy bringing Agile to the world of game development. You must check his session. The very famous and well-known Jürgen Apelo, author of Management 3.0, will be talking and exploring about AI's impact on leadership. We also have Gojko Adzic, who's taking an unconventional look at the product growth with his lizard optimization keynote. Other speakers include, for example, Sven Dietz, who's challenging everything we know about software development by literally ditching contracts and estimates. Can you imagine? His teams deliver software before their competitors are even done with the contract negotiation. How agile is that? But there's more. We'll cover engineering practices in our developer track with talks on, for example, AI-assisted test-driven development, developing products in minutes with a different approach to how we develop, configure, deploy platforms, and much more. We also have a product track where we cover cutting-edge ideas around product discovery, delighting customers with product delight frameworks. We'll have a talk about that. And we also have an Agile business track where we will talk about, for example, open strategy, a very agile approach to managing organizations and delivering software faster to clients, faster than you can even write a contract. Literally, I mean, I already told you about Sven Dietz's story. It's amazing. It definitely is a must-see. I'm sure you'll be inspired and get a lot of ideas for your own software projects and software delivery. Now, whether you're a business leader, a product innovator, or a developer, you'll definitely find value in our 3 focused tracks. That's Agile Business for those working with businesses and organizations, Agile Product for product managers, product owners, and innovators, and Agile Developer for the builders, making Agile work in practice, the coders, the testers, the designers, the producers, the Scrum Masters, you name it. If you join, you will meet over 200 Agile professionals from all over the world. People who, just like you, want to grow, want to share, and want to learn by challenging the ideas that don't work anymore. At the Global Agile Summit, you'll get new connections, fresh ideas, and the energy to take your own Agile to the next level. And who knows, maybe even find your next career opportunity. So don't miss out. Check out the full program and grab your ticket now at globalagilesummit.com. I'm really looking forward to seeing you all in Tallinn, Estonia in May. I'll see you there.